Hello, my name is Austin Enzer, the captain of the primary search. Today we're going to do a little bit of bait rigging for ballyhoos, and what we do is historically for tuna fishing here in the Northeast. Might not be exactly how you've seen it done by other people, but it's what we do and what works for us for tuna fishing on the primary search. So I want to talk about a little bit about chin weights that we use here on the primary search. This is one style of chin weight you see a lot, like in a little Ziploc bag and things like that. It's basically a lot longer than it is fatter, and this is the same weight as this, but you see that this one's a little shorter and rounder. It's got more of an actual kind of an egg look to it rather than a long skinny thing. We find that these work a little better as chin weights as opposed to this longer skinnier one, so we definitely try to get these when we can. Atlantic Tackle has them loose in the thing. We work best. So that's the chin weights. Here's the right one and there's the wrong one. So as you can see, this one's a little bit rounder and more proportional than this one is longer and skinnier. And then as far as your hooks, got your hook here, and then you'll have a piece of ballyhoo wire that we're going to attach to your hook. This is how I like to attach them. So you take your hook here, and you take your ballyhoo wire, you'll stick it through the eye, you'll turn it down like that so it's kind of laying on your hook like this, and you'll wrap it around the shank of the hook a couple times, back up, and then you're going to bring your wire up through the eye of your hook. And you'll notice a lot when you rig baits and you take ballyhoo wire off, you'll form these kinks like that in this wire. One of the best ways to get those out is to take a pair of scissors, you take the back side of them, put them on the dull side here, you squeeze it against your finger like this, then you just run the scissors up like this, and it'll actually straighten out your wire for you. I have to do it a few times, and then your wire will be nice and straight for your next ballyhoo rigging. And that's it. One of the things that's important about picking out baits is when you're at the store, when you're picking through your pile of them, is picking out good baits. One of the things to look for in a good pack of bait is to basically look for signs of that it's been thawed before. You'll see some freezer burn and some other things in the package. You don't want any of that. With the bait itself specifically, one of the things you're looking for is clear eyes. Having clear eyes in the bait and having green nice poop in the bait, and not having a lot of blood and things like that in the bait. Something that looks appealing to the eye. Another thing I look for in a pack of bait is how the ballyhoos are sitting in there. If they're all hunched over like this in the pack of bait, I necessarily probably won't buy that pack of bait. But if they're all straight looking good in the pack of bait, I'll most likely buy that over the other one. So just looking at a pack of bait and look at the ones that look aesthetically pleasing to the eye. As far as sizes, we use a lot of smalls, we use medium larges, and we use a lot of selects. We try to stay away from the horses just because you only get 2 in a pack and they're not much larger than the selects. But the biggest thing is to look for a good healthy pack of bait when you're picking out your baits. And then the first step in this process is to thaw your baits, which we're doing in a 5-gallon bucket right now. Alrighty, so we have some baits here we're going to pull out. We're going to go over step by step of how to rig them and what to do with them. This is about a medium to large bait right here. The first thing we need to do is prepare the bait to be put on a hook. So what we're going to do first is here, is take our arrow and poke the eyeball out. So we'll poke our eyeball out here. Sometimes you got to pull it out a little bit. And our eyeball's pulled out. Now with the fins here on the side, you see how this one has one fin forward and one fin back. This particular bait, I would cut both these fins off of. So you just pull it up, cut the fin off of this bait, and then you'll see this bait here has both his fins straight back. I'd probably leave those on that bait just because he's going to go nice flush through the water like that. The next thing we're going to do with this bait is once we got the eyeballs poked out, we got the fins trimmed, is to poop the bait. So you're just going to take your thumb and finger like this. There's a couple different ways to do it, but this is a good way just to kind of squeeze the poop out of the bait. This will help it decompose not as quick and maybe make it swim a little bit better. The other way is just to kind of push your thumb down here like this. The biggest thing is you don't want to damage the bait while you're pooping them, because this is where your hook's going to sit, and this is arguably the weakest point of the bait, right in here, because that's where your hook's going to come out, and it's his belly, so it's really just not a strong part of the bait. So he's got his poop out, he didn't have much in him. We can go ahead and do this next one here while I got him. Again, both of his fins are straight back, so we're just going to leave his like that. We'll take our arrow, poke his eyeballs out like this. Pull them out. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the bill, but this is the important part. We don't want to cut our bill here because it almost renders our bait useless for tuna fishing. I like to cut my bill right about here, and then we can save a little bit and trim a little bit off as we need to. So we got our eyeballs out of this bait, our fins trimmed on this bait. Now we're going to take our poop out of this bait. We got the poop out of here, and if you start seeing too many scales come off, you know you're pushing too hard on that bait. So we got the poop out of this, and he's looking about right, ready for rigging. So then we're going to take our hook rig here. This is a 100-pound monofilament rig with a 9.0 That's the hook of choice for us. We got a 3/8 ounce chin weight, which matches the hook and the bait pretty well, and about 12 inches or a little less of Ballyhoo wire here. The biggest thing with this bait is we want to try to make as less incisions in it as possible. So we want to take our hook like this, and we want to try to figure out exactly where it's going to come out. Under here we have these little gill plates like this, and that right there in that little gill plate section right there is where our chin weight is going to reside. So if you're going to hold it up like this, you want to kind of figure out where that chin weight's going to go, like this, and figure out exactly where your hook's going to come out the bottom. So like this, hook it right about there, and I can see, holding my two fingers right there, right about where this hook's going to come out of the bait. Where this hook comes out of the bait is very important to how it swims. If it's too tight on the hook, it will spin, and if the hook's too exposed, it won't look very good, and it'll also run the risk of spinning. So what I'm going to do next is hold my bait, and I'm holding it right here with my fingers like this, because again, that's where my hook's going to come out of the bottom of the bait, like that. Then we're going to take our hook, and we're going to stick it right in this throat latch right here. Right here in this little throat latch, take our hook, put it in the full throat latch right there, and we're going to slide it down his belly where we pooped out that bait at, and we can start to see it poke out. You can start to see it poke out there, right between my fingers. Then we're going to make the hook come out of the bait like this. We're going to slide the hook down him like this, and we'll work it back under his gill plate like that. That's about perfect where your hook placement is right there. Then we're going to fish this chin weight up in his gill plate. So then you're going to have your bait like this. What you're doing this whole time is dressing your hook here. You're dressing your hook to keep it straight up and down perpendicular with the bait. So you see how your chin weight sits right in here like this, your crimp sits up in here. These baits were just perfect for rigging. It's like they were almost designed for rigging. And then your line will slide up his beak here. So your first wrap is going to go between the eyes and behind the chin weight like that. Your second one is going to go behind the chin weight through the eyes. You're keeping this hook straight up and down as you go. Your next one's going to go in front of the chin weight. We're just pushing that weight in there, keeping our hook straight. Another one in front of the chin weight, like this. Now our chin weight's locked in place. Now some people will poke a hole in this top hatch here. Again, we don't want to make any unnecessary pokes in this bait. It's not a necessary poke to put a hole in there. Some people carry a needle. It will come right through there if you hit it in the right spot. So you come up through the bottom like this, and you'll feel it go through the bottom jaw. And then you're going to find that special little spot in the top jaw here where the line's going to poke through. And with just a little bit of pressure, it'll poke through that top jaw like that. There's a little tiny small piece of cartilage right there that will pop right through without putting any sort of needle or anything in there. Then you're going to pull it up, and this is a very important part of the bait right here. You need to get that mouth good and snug closed, or it will spin and do all sorts of other stuff, but you also don't want to pull so hard that you rip the mouth. So you just get it snug down. I like to hold down a little bit right here, and then you start your wraps up the bill. But this first wrap's important to keep tight. Keep it tight. Under here, his bill actually has a groove in it here. So you just keep the line going up that, you wrap again, up a bill, and now you're starting to run out of ballyhoo wire here. So you can go ahead and trim your bill back to where you think you're going to run out. It's about right about there. You're going to wrap up the bill all the way to the end like this. And that's about a perfectly rigged ballyhoo as far as that goes. And then the most important part of this bait is to get it to swim right. Right now it's kind of just pull through the water. You need to break the back here. So what you're doing here on the break in the back is you're squeezing here, and what you're going to do is you're going to see the back ridge pop up when I squeeze this bait. You'll see it pop up a little bit, and you'll feel it crack in your fingers. And you'll just feel it kind of pop up on your bait a little bit. What you're doing is kind of feel like you're mushing it, but you're not. You're just breaking the backbone. And what that'll do is you go all the way down the tail here, is make this bait wiggle, and you can kind of go like this and make sure the bait's going to move freely through the water. And then that's about your bait right about there. This hook's a little big for this bait, but for the most part that's about how you do it. You want this to be wrapped down the bill because especially when we're tuna fishing, your lure is going to slide right over top of this. But as far as it goes, that's about a perfectly rigged bait. There's no complaints there. Hook placement could be a little better, but that's a pretty good bait.